Yet another case of this economic crisis is just too much for democracy theme, a story of we need technocrats to navigate this world.
Welcome to Zombieland.
Or is it Euroland? Are zombie banks feeding on governments, turning them into zombies too? We'll ask that question and talk about a liquidity crisis in Europe. Look at that. Wait for it, beer all over Angela Merkel. Now, is all that cheap liquidity generated by the ECB for Eurozone banks going right back to Germany, as the weaker ones like Italy need to keep going back to the bar just to keep their glasses from draining? So will German banks be the prime candidates to engage in the ECB's upcoming LTRO carry trade? We'll break down carry trade in the back by popular demand word of the day. And what can we learn from Wile E. Coyote here? Well, in economic terms, he just had a Minsky moment, and today we'll have a few more moments talking Minsky and what he can teach us about this new upside-down world that we are living in with our favorite economist from Down Under, Steve Keen. Let's get to today's Capital Account. So now Dublin will reportedly hold a referendum on the Eurozone fiscal compact. So now, according to the Financial Times, this is plunging Europe into months of uncertainty and potentially placing a question mark over Ireland's membership of the euro. Now, the former Prime Minister of Ireland is out saying this is a bad idea. A no vote could have too big a consequence. Could mean Ireland's out of the euro. We can't be rattling those markets. Got to worry about the markets. Can't shake the bond markets. We know how powerful they are. And let's remember the last time we saw this in the Eurozone crisis in Greece, when Athens called for a referendum. It was pretty much the last time we heard from the country's democratically elected Prime Minister Papandreou, as he was quickly replaced with an appointed technocrat, not to mention former central banker Lucas Papademos, to administer the market's tough medicine. So is this another example where democracy is just, a little too inconvenient for European politicians and policymakers? And as Eurocrats keep trying to prop up zombie banks, is what we're really seeing just the spread of this zombie mentality from free market capitalism to democratic governance? That's the big question we want to ask. And to answer it, Steve Keen, Associate Professor at the University of Western Sydney and author of this book, Debunking Economics, The Naked Emperor Dethroned. And as always, it is just such a pleasure to talk to you and to see you, Dr. Keen.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yes. So, this is actually very fortuitous. A little bit of trivia. The last time we had you on, Steve, was the day before the first LTRO operation by the ECB in Europe. And now, fast forward, and again, it is the day before the next LTRO operation of the ECB in Europe. So you're actually the perfect person to talk about these kind of liquidity transfusions. And to answer this question, Dr. Keen, is this just another way to prop up zombie banks and allow them to roll over their debt?
Absolutely, because the whole solution is saying, here we have a problem where a country can't pay enough money, can't pay the debts it's currently got, let's lend it more money. And well, so long as it's money which the government, the country itself can't generate through its central bank, which of course no European country has, then it's just perpetuating the problem.
And is this an inevitable outgrowth of the banking system? Because as you point out, Ponzi financiers always have debt servicing costs that are higher than their cash flows because the assets they purchased with borrowed money. So they have to expand their debts or sell off assets. And in Europe, we've seen banks do anything to avoid selling off assets.
Yeah, well, the Europeans got their own peculiar problem, placed it on top of what America's going through and will continue going through for some years, if not decades. And that's of course, you said Ponzi lending, where you had banks lending money to finance people gambling and rising asset prices. And whereas lending that finances investment, innovation, technology, and expansion of markets can actually generate income that services the debt at a later stage, borrowing to gamble on rising asset prices doesn't generate the capacity to pay that debt. So you simply have to take out more debt to continue servicing it, and you ultimately hit the brick wall as we did back in 2007.